Hi folks, I am Aleks U and you are awesome. I've got these pears here because they smell amazing and because when you smell, through the act of smelling, the brain processes it and the chatterbox stops, even for a moment. Stop and smell the roses, a shortcut to get right in the present moment. The chatterbox, the ego, the conversation stops and you're actually present. I'm going to put this away and share with you the topic for today's video. It is, why are you clueless? And in the next 15 minutes we're going to talk about that. Why do we have no idea? Or why is it that we don't know anything? That's probably a subtitle. We're going to go into that and dig down and figure out why we have so many questions but very few answers about good. And I'm talking about the good questions, about good life questions. Why do we not have the good answers for the good questions? The short answer of that is that the ego, which is where we are, the conversation, that story in our mind, right, doesn't know anything. Yes, sure, you can ask your ego self about what time it is, or how many colors are in this game here, or how many parts are in this chair that take to build this chair, or what is the material of this pillow, or what is the human cell made of, to give me the parts. So anything that breaks down, or you can put things apart and kind of figure out the parts that go into one thing, right? Any description, any labeling, right, of any kind, because if you look at the human language, it's designed, the way it was, is to label everything, which also means separate everything you see into a category or a thing of itself, then take that thing and break it further down, give it another label, and break that thing further down and give it another label. For example, that's a tree, a word, right? Then the tree has branches and leaves, etc. And then the leaves have cells, and then the cells have parts of the cells that we call elements and things that make the cell. And in the cell, in those organelles, right, part of the cells, we then have breaking down to molecules, and then to atoms, and then to particles and subatomic particles. So see, all the things I just said, they have words, so they have labels, and then they describe something, and that thing is a separate in itself, and then in it there's other things you can separate and break down further. And so ironically, if you keep going down, you go to nothing, right? You go to space, or emptiness, if you wish, or right. So the ego is very good at labeling and further figuring out what things are made of and giving it more labels. So in that era, or not era, but in that field, I should say, the ego is the king, because it is its own world, right? Like if you have a question about a fact or a label, right, ask the ego. Better yet, ask a search engine, because it's the combination of the ego. It knows everything, right? It knows everything when it comes to the labeling and the language express things that we have built. But guess what? Before there was language, there was still life, right? And there will be even after a language. But the language wasn't there to describe it, didn't mean that life didn't exist. And so in right now, even though we can break everything down by language, does not mean we understand life. Here's a good example. Ask yourself, what's the purpose of life? And wait for the ego to give you an answer. It's gonna try, but it's gonna go dead end, because wait a minute, that's a very big question, and it needs to account for totality somehow, because I can break down that question and give you like a label separate answer. Or better yet, what is your purpose? ask the ego, when you ask your mind, when you're in your mind, right, in this beautiful space, when you ask yourself, what's my purpose? What is the ego gonna say? Did the ego ever give you a good answer for any of the good questions? No, you're clueless, right? That's why we humans, on a daily basis, chronically, we live in a state of I don't know, of not knowing, of just this inner fear and discomfort, because we know, like, or I should say, the ego knows, like, underneath all the crap that it tells you, it knows it has no clue of what life is. What am I doing here, right? It has no real answers, because my ego sees itself as something very separate, and it sees the world as a combination of separations, right? Like, it separates everything, and that's how I live. That's how, living through my ego, that's what I experience. So it's a constant unknown, like, what, like I'm trying to figure things out, but the reality is I don't know life. I don't know purpose of life and me and meaning, and when life, how did it start? What is its purpose? Where is it going? The ego is gonna try to find scientific answers, right? Oh wow, this is 2 billion years old. We just found this rock and this bone, and we can measure it. 5 years later, oh no, it's not 2 billion, it's 2.5 billion years, because in this bone, then next to it we found another bone, and now we have better technology that can measure this bone better, and it turns out it's not 2 billion, it's 2.5 billion years. And then 5 years later, another technology comes along, we can break something further down to figure out that maybe we didn't measure this properly. How many times we've heard this in science, right? Or we didn't quite measure this, or we didn't quite see that far. And then comes another answer to when did life originate, or what's its purpose, etc., right? So if the ego is going to continue to play this game, that you never win there, right? It will never have a real answer to anything, because the ego is fake. It's not a real thing. It's a made up conceptual self that we have bought into, live by it, we enjoy it, we love it, we're addicted to it, for sure. But it's a tricky, clever structure, but not intelligent, not real intelligence, right? When it comes to life and some of the good questions. So where can you get some of these questions answered, right? Like, why am I constantly wondering and confused, and I thought this was the purpose of life, having this career or money or house or houses or business or family, all the things or a great body, or this hobby achieved, these goals, or these credentials reached. That's what the ego community, the society, we learn that these are the things that will give you the purpose of life and meaning, but people achieve them, right, on a regular basis, and they don't find meaning, often not for long, right? And I know that from personal experience. When I've achieved certain things in my life, you can look at your life and see if that's the case. But where can we, if these are not the answers, right? If that's not it, if my ego cannot, the conversation in my head cannot give me any answers, and if I constantly feel just pressure, or sometimes anxiety or worry or lack of desire or purpose or meaning and confusion and just like blah, right? Like if that's how we feel, and we do, right, on a regular basis, like it's very common to see confusion in us humans, or not being certain, let's say, and as I said, clueless, right? We don't really have a clue. Why do I have this? Why I did all this, and what is its purpose? And I wake up and I go to sleep and I do all these things. Do they have a meaning? What is the meaning? And the only way you're actually going to have a sense of meaning, of any meaningful answers that come to you as a knowing, not as a label, as in, like, if you expect to have an answer to a question like what's my meaning and the meaning of life to come to you in a verbal form, in a sentence like this and this and this, it will never forget it will never happen, right? The meaning of life can be felt as a knowing, because it was here before labels were given, labels as in words, and it will be here even if languages disappear one day, who knows. But the meaning, the true meaning of life, of self, of knowing why is it, why you are, why are you aware, right? Why are you asking, like, who you are? Any of these beautiful questions and the answers come from peace, or from silence, I should say better yet. That's why you may have heard God is in the silence, right? You find God when you silent. That's what it's meant, right? Because the noise seems mandatory nowadays because we're constantly talking, right? And often, however silly that might sound, we think that if I stop thinking, life stops, right? Because that's all I hear, my thoughts, right? But the reality is, or, you know, not only life doesn't stop, but your intelligence doesn't stop when you stop these constant thought processes, right? Then comes real knowledge, the one you already have and know because you're part of. Meaning, you as a inseparable part of life, you already have the intrinsic knowledge of what you are, who you are, the purpose of life. And you're gonna come down to this sweet understanding and realization that you are life, as in inseparable part of it, and the feeling is, I'm here, I am life. Life is being, is what life is, right? In itself, you cannot ask the question is it the purpose? Is having 10 trees of pears and selling pears, is that the purpose of life? Or having this career, is this the purpose of life? When you are in a state of awake, maybe let's say in a present being state, the answers are very simple and they come as in, oh wow, you're not asking questions, is this the purpose of life? You are knowing that the purpose of life is being it. And so if you're expressing a career as a plumber, that is the purpose in itself, not the purpose of life, but this is the experience you're having right now, and you're making it your being, your purpose, your meaning, and not the plumbing itself, but you as in experiencing the career as a plumber. That's the beauty, right? You are being a plumber and then changing to a barber. The experience in life changed for you, but you as part of life, you, that being and that you are, that didn't change. So now you're understanding that, wait a minute, I am the meaning of life. Life in itself is its own meaning. And what unfolds and what you manifest and express in this life, it's an experience in life, not the meaning of life. And no one experience can give you purpose, unique purpose, or unique answer and meaning. But collectively, the experiences you're having, they are life. So then you're understanding, wait a minute, instead of trying to find purpose and meaning and look and break things down in my mind, or like as we've done to society, stop doing that and be life, which is what you are. And expressing myself as a plumber, then that's wonderful. It's wonderful. Because like I now have no need to stress or worry this intrinsic uncomfortableness, right? But who I am, what am I doing here? It falls apart because you understand that you are life. And in life, whatever it is that you engage with, this is it, right? This in this very moment, the meaning and the purpose of life becomes this expansion that you're doing, that is manifesting. And the next moment is something else, and then the next moment something else. But what was constant and didn't change is you. You are life. You are the meaning. You are the purpose. You are, as they say in religion, the way, right? And what way and how we're going to express it, it matters not much, because those are transient states. But you, as in life, that doesn't change. And in that state of being present, aware, not looking for answers here, there aren't any answers there. No good answers. But from your present moment, the being that you are, you will know what life is. You won't even ask those questions because you'll be so in love and busy living it, life, right? You're not going to be looking for its meaning, its purpose, because you're understanding that you are it. And so any question is becoming irrelevant, because whether this question comes and it's answered or not, it's irrelevant because you are it, right? You are it. The 15 minutes is up here, and I know this topic can borderline become philosophical. And the thing is, even that, trying to understand this topic, why you're clueless, from an ego point of view, it's insane, right? It's not going to make much sense. But from a point of being, right? If you're successful as being present and allowing this state of awareness to come in you, right? Then you know, you just simply know, because it doesn't come from thoughts that are conditioned, but it comes to absolute knowledge, because it is in you. It's never gone away. This was the 15 minutes of this beautiful topic of why you're clueless, and the reality of it is you're not. The ego that you believe you are, it's just doesn't have a clue about anything. But you know, the being that you are always knows. Until next time, my friends, drop me a line and give us a topic that we can discuss for the next 15 minutes next weekend. Until then, let's have a lot less ego and a lot more joy. Bye for now.